Oh wow, what a day. Um Crazy. It's a hot time in Lynn Haven, I'll tell you that. It's a hot time in Lynn Haven. I want to show you something that I haven't shown yet. I mean it was on the city meeting, and of course James Finch is here with me, but I want to show you what the city finance director said to the three members of the commission. The mayor wasn't there. Didn't know what happened or why he wasn't there, but then Pat Perno, the commissioner, blurts out near the end of the meeting, the mayor's out of the country. I still don't know why. And you would think that at a time like this, there would be an announcement from the mayor. Why? I don't know why. I hope he's okay. It's not good leadership. I know that much. But what I want to do is thank a couple of sponsors first, let some of you join in, and then I'm going to show you what I have not shown you yet. And it is the finance director telling the three commissioners that the city is financially underwater as of next month. You're not going to believe this. All right, hang tight. I'll show you in a moment.
Strong, effective leadership. 3 words that could mean the difference between prison and your freedom. I'm Al Saulene, your Panama City Beach lawyer. 850-215-0628.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome. Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
All right, let's get it going. I'm going to show you this video, and then I want to get James's response to it, because we've been hearing from citizens and the former city manager and the mayor, and I guess even from the commission itself, that the city has $19 million. They're in better financial shape than when that rascal James Finch used to come around and get all the contracts. But it turns out that's not true. Take a listen. This, I don't think you've seen before.
Approval to set the proposed millage rate and hearing dates for the purposes of submission on the certificate of taxable value to the property appraiser's office pursuant to the Trim Act.
Good evening. Typically, this is an administrative type event. I have a bit of a different challenge this year. We were scheduled to meet last Friday to discuss the budget, and I was going to be briefing you on the challenges of next year's budget. I am not given that opportunity now. Tonight, we need a decision about the dates and the ceiling for the millage rate. The dates are easy. We will continue with the regularly scheduled dates, the second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday of September. Both meetings will be at 5:30 in the afternoon. Now comes the millage rate. The former city manager had always informed me she wanted me to report to you a ceiling of 4.2. We have a number of different challenges this year. This is where I was going to brief you on last Friday. I have discussed with the Finance Review Committee meeting, the Debt Review Committee, and the former city manager a number of times. Hurricane Michael Disaster Fund 101 will be out of money at the end of the month. We will be in a negative cash position of about $315,000, which means in fiscal 26, the general fund will need to make those debt service payments of $2.8 million. That's out of the general fund. So I know that the residents have the $19 million that keeps being repeated. That $19 million is going to have to take care of the debt service for the 2019 bond. Right now, I am asking, the documents I sent you are at 4.2. I am suggesting that we set the ceiling tonight. Ceiling, we can always go down, we can't go up. I'm suggesting that we set the ceiling at 4.5 with the idea that we do more research and have that meeting that we were supposed to schedule last Friday, get that scheduled as soon as possible so we can nail these numbers down.
Just so everyone understands, we go through this every year. When people see this, they think it's a done deal, and it's not. Because if we don't go high enough, then we really put ourselves in a corner.
Correct.
So it's not a done deal. We can go as low as we want, right?
Correct.
We just can't go above whatever we set it tonight.
Whatever you direct me to tonight, we.
Okay, so what you see here is, and I'm gonna stop this, and I'm gonna come back. What I saw there that is different than we've been hearing is that she says that the $19 million, the numbers don't lie, that everybody's been saying, thanks to former city manager Vicki Gaynor and Mayor Jesse Nelson, there's a lot of money to do new projects and move forward and be better together and all that stuff. But it turns out for the last couple of years, the finance director has been trying to let people know, but hasn't been able to let people know. Now, here's the thing that I also noticed is she said she has addressed the Finance Review Board and the Debt Review Board and former city manager Vicki Gaynor about this dire circumstance, that the Hurricane Disaster Fund 101 is out of money at the end of the month. It is in the hole $315,000. So next year, that nearly the entire $19 million everybody's been throwing around has to pay back that bond. It was a 30-year bond at 3%, I believe. I'll show it to you in a little bit. That's $2.8 million a year out of the general fund. That's a big swing. Now, if the Finance Review Board has known this, if the Debt Review Board has known this, if the city manager has known this, have any of the board members known this? And if the board members have not known this, what are the consequences going to be? What the hell use is it to have a Finance Review Board and a Debt Review Board? I mean, do they not have a fiduciary duty? Should any of them have been have blown the whistle? Are these things being stacked to give plausible deniability about the true situation of the city's finances? I am hearing now that breaking news, but of course the Beacon of Bay County already broke it. Those broads are pissing me off. That's one thing Tony Bostic and I agree with, but for different reasons. Anyway, they broke the news, I guess, or they're going to break the news that the mayor pro tem, Sam Peebles, has committed to showing this information that she was going to announce, that they didn't let her announce. So things are happening fast, and I thought we'd bring James Finch in to talk about this and a whole lot more. James, what do you think about all this?
Well, I started about 3 years ago thinking that something was bad wrong in the city. And I kept trying to find out what was going on other than all the lies about the corruption. Most of them was about me. So I go, I think 6 or 8 months ago, to the city commission, and I watched people ask time and time again about the finances in Lynn Haven. So finally, I seen the mayor and everybody put a spin on it every time somebody would ask about it. So I stood up in front of the commission and I said, look, I will pay for a forensic audit for the city. I'll pay for it, not a dime for you. And they looked at me like I had two heads. And I kept waiting for them to say something. And I even asked some of the commissioners after that, I said, I can't understand this. If I was a commissioner and I was sitting there, I would say, excuse me, you said you were going to pay for all this. It wasn't going to cost us a dime, and you were going to use our people. I would have said, yes, sir. And if I'd have been sitting on that commission, I said, buddy, you got you a hell of a deal. We're signing you up tonight.
But you're going to use your auditor or their auditor?
Their auditor.
So you'll pay them to audit.
I'll pay their auditor to furnish the audit, do the audit, and give everybody a copy of it. They looked at me like I had two heads. So I'm seeing all these new 4-wheel drive trucks, all blacked out windows. The 4-wheel drive trucks, they cost $4,000 or $5,000, basically more than a regular truck. They don't have any dirt roads in the city of Lynn Haven. So why do you need the 4-wheel drive trucks unless you're going hunting on them on the weekend?
How are you going to get chicks when you leave a bar at 3:00 in the morning?
Well, what I'm saying is I was really, really interested in trying to help the city because I thought there was a problem there. I'd said the whole time that they had not hired the right city manager, a capable city manager to do the job. Because me and her had it a few times on some stuff. And that $4.4 million they paid me off a few months ago, I bet they wish they had it now. But it was at 2.5%, 2.55% for 20 years. And the annuities were paying 5.45%. If they would ask me, said, James, will you discount this note? I said, I sure will. Take a couple $100,000 off. And and give me the money back. But they gave me the money back, paid me off. I was at the meeting, and I left before this meeting over. When I get back that afternoon, somebody said, James, they paid your note off? And I said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, they paid the note off. Well, they wrote the check. They put it in the mail. A few days later, it comes in and it's stamped Pensacola. It went all the way to Pensacola and come back to Tennessee Avenue. And I opened it up, and it was a check to pay me off, which that was fine with me because I wasn't going. They told me how much I was taking advantage of the city of Lynn Haven. Well, the note didn't end to 2047. And if I'm still here at 2040, I'd give it to them. But anyway, there was nothing to that. And I was saying, golly, if you would have bought the annuity, you could have paid off the note and still had the $4 million left at the end of the time when it paid it off. And I just couldn't understand that. And they got finance directors, they got managers, and they paying off the note. And then it dawned on me that I was asking too many questions. They thought that they'd just pay me off and get me the hell out of the way. But it wasn't about the money to me because I had loaned it to them to 2047. I never thought I'd see the money come back to me in my lifetime. And so it definitely wasn't about the money. It was about the mismanagement. And it's showing up. It's showing up real big.
Yeah. I just want everybody to understand this. So, I mean, I only know this because I went to all the hearings and the trials and all that stuff. So what James is talking about is back around 2014 or 2015. Many of you will remember the 17th Street ditch, gigantic ditch. People were crashing into, went miles long, and it was a big issue for the city. They couldn't afford to fix this ditch. There were alligators and snakes in it. One lady crashed in it and died. Your buddy Willie B even said he crashed in it. But this was dangerous, this thing. And the city said, okay, well, we don't have a lot of money, so we'll just fix it a little bit at a time. Well, the city manager at the time, Joel Schubert, said, talked with James Finch here, Phoenix Construction, the big construction company with all the tractors right here in Lynn Haven. And James said, hey, they both decided, let's get it done now. Let's fix it now. And the city didn't have the money. And turned out, James said, I can do it for about $5.2 million. And somebody in the audience stood up and said, how do you know he's not going to keep coming back and doing, change orders and raising the price? And James stands back up in the meeting and says, tell you what, don't pay me until the job is done. Well, it took like a year, which is still fast for this kind of work. And guess what? He finished at $4.5 million under budget. So what did the city do? Well, by that time, Vicki Gaynor was there with Michael White. I believe it was about the same time. And Vicki Gaynor says, hey, I'll tell you what, there's like $750,000 that we never did borrow from you, James, that you said you had. You mind if we borrow that too? We've got some storm drains and stuff we want to fix in this fancy neighborhood. Well, she ended up buying a house in that neighborhood. And of course, James said, sure, I'll loan you that money too at half the going interest rate, more than half the going interest rate, 2.55%. Then the city said, all of them, every member of the commission, every staff member, all the attorneys, everybody said, we know good money, easy money when we see it. This is incredible. We only have a 2.55% interest rate on $5.2 million. That meant, then they said, James, can we pay it for 30 years instead of 20? No good deed goes unpunished. James says, sure. So the city's paying back at the time now $21,000 a month. People say James Finch is mad. He's trying to recall Jesse Nelson. This is what they're saying. Now think about this. Because he's not getting $21,000 a month from Lynn Haven anymore. Two things. One, I think James is going to be just fine without $21,000 a month from Lynn Haven until 2047. Two, if they had borrowed it from a bank at the time, it would have been $31,000 a month they're paying back. So they gave it all back to James to keep James from looking in there anymore. And now the city finds itself in a hole when they could have invested that because they were only paying 2.55%. Now, I'm not good at money, James, but I've listened for a long time on this. Do I have that about right?
Yes, you do. The 17th Street ditch had been a problem for 50 years or more than that, all my life. And, we fixed that. And then when they borrowed, I think it was $790,000 that was left over to make it to 5.2. I promised them I would loan. And so it was for some stormwater problems. And most of it went to Colorado Avenue over there around Vicky's house. And then I loaned them the money. And then when they accused me of bribing the city commissioner over there, we went to court there, and nobody from the city of Lynn Haven said, wait a minute, we asked James to borrow this money, and he loaned us the money. They were saying that I bribed a commissioner about it. So we got out the voting records, and for 42 years, all the jobs I had never had a vote that wasn't unanimous for any of the projects. So if I was bribing somebody, I was a damn fool. all you need is 3 to win, and I had 4 and 5.
And don't write checks when you bribe people.
Yes, yeah. But anyway, so I had a problem with that. And then, when the hurricane come, I thought I had and I've told you all this before, but I thought I had a pretty good alibi. I was in a coma, when all this happened. And so when they had arrested Margot and they started on Margot, I was her friend. And she had been on my airplane 15 years before. She even run for mayor. Her husband, Lee, worked for me for 35 years on my race team. He worked free. He was a disabled veteran. He'd go with me on the weekend, and he would do the gas mileage and stuff like that. But he helped me drink everything in the truck. And he was a pretty good drinker too. But anyway, we were friends. And so I started helping Margot. I got her a lawyer and the whole deal, and I wound up paying the city. Everybody figured I was either going to be in jail. I was fighting cancer at the time and still doing it now. But they thought I was either going to be dead or in jail. But I fooled both of them so far. And so when I was trying to, Vicky paid me an invoice 3 times. So I took it back the 3rd time up there, and I told her, I said, you're incapable of doing this job. And she was after me the whole time. And, but I was, I didn't have anywhere to go. I've been in Lynn Haven all my life. I was kind of like the Vietnamese was. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
And the U.S. Army left.
Yeah. You're not hanging off the helicopters, what you're saying.
So anyway, I just wanted to help Lynn Haven, and I still do. And then I had all this stuff. I never, ever had any problems in Lynn Haven. And I was the biggest donor they had. So I quit. I said, I'm not doing the fireworks anymore. I'm not doing anything because of the administration up there. And so it took me 1.5 years to get the first deposition with all the appeals and all the lawyer fees and all. But I got it a couple weeks ago, and it come out when it was 1 day old. And in 2 days, they had a special commission meeting, and all hell broke loose. And the mayor was misleading the commission so bad. They said in the deposition, they said, how many people were there? They asked Mr. Forehand, says, how many people were involved there? He says, well, there were 3 of us, the public works director and assistant public works director, and me and Vicky. And the mayor said, "Oh no, there was a house full. There was a lot of people there. There's a lot of people there." Well, it turned out there was only two, and they took their statement. It wasn't a deposition. They took their statement, and from what I understand, it come back. Well, Vicky directed every bit of it. Every bit of it was directed by Vicky, and he told beforehand, "You either work for me. You got to make a choice here. You working for me, or you're not working for the city." And Finch is not working for the city, and so it all come out, and they didn't like what coming out. So some of us, the mayor said it was just one accusation. They said, "Well, let's just get the other two and ask them." Well, they were sitting right there in the commission, but they wouldn't bring them up. So they want to have this one-on-one. The lawyers, they were playing ping pong, which means both of them's selling time. So they both get paid.
Yeah.
But when they had the meeting, it come out supposedly that I was 100% right and Vicky was 100% wrong. So then Friday, when they come back and they fired Vicky Gaynor, I was not even there. I was up in the races up in Delaware. And so I come back, and I'd been through that deal. Ricky Ramey and Vicky, the city asked me to help them look at some cost savings on the city hall. And so I told them I would. We all met in my office, and Vicky and Ricky come there. I don't know about Vicky, but Ricky was wearing wire on me. And the city come up. I don't know if Vicky had one or not, but when I got the tape.
This was about what year?
It was before the trials.
Was it like 2020-ish?
2020.
Yeah, they were talking about trying to build it. Just so everybody understands, this is when there's these different ideas about a city hall, okay? And James Finch had ideas about building a city hall. Margot hadn't been indicted yet. So they had one idea. But Ramey wanted a $40,000 kitchen, and they wanted
$440,000 kitchen.
Okay. So they wanted to spend a boatload of money. And by the way, the finance director still wants to talk about the city hall rebuild. That hasn't been talked about. So that's what he's talking about is about to come to light as well. So when James and Margot go in there and meet with the folks about building a city hall, Ricky Ramey is wearing an FBI wire.
Yes.
And they thought they were going to get you, James, for trying to rip off the city. What happened?
Well, they didn't like it when I told them. I said, a $440,000 kitchen. Are you crazy? I said, I propose a 12,000 square foot police department. You had 3,500 before the storm blew it down. It's 3,500. So 12,000 feet, then a 18,000 EOC building, separate building. And Ricky says, no, when we got to the sheriff's office, we were out of room in 3 or 4 months. We were out of room. So we don't want to run into that again. And I said, well, I'm thinking to myself, I can't support this. Now I can sit here and go along with everything they want and probably get this job. And I said, I can't do that as a citizen. I said, it's a total waste, especially, a big gym and a $440,000 kitchen. And it was just unheard of. Not only that, I didn't agree, and Margot agreed that they kind of liked that old part of the city hall on the corner there. I said, push this down. Don't spend $1 million on that for a museum. I said, what are we going to do? Make the town like Mayberry? That when they were acting like Mayberry, when they suspended Ricky Ramey, they take the gun away from him or one bullet away or what, I don't know what they did. But I just couldn't go along with the building of what they were going to do. If they needed that building, like I say, there's $1 million worth of gymnasium and kitchen, a $440,000 kitchen in 30, 40 foot down the hall in the patrolman's rooms. They got an $85,000 kitchenette. So I guess they were just having a big $440,000. Captain Anderson was like that, I'm sure. But I guess they have birthday parties in there. So me and Ricky had a falling out about that. And so they went, I I got the evidence. The judge turned over all the evidence to me because I brought to him that they were lying in the indictment,
In the grand jury.
in the grand jury indictment. And the judge, he said, I'm this close to throwing it out. He said that 100 times, but he never did throw it out. But I showed him where I was in the hospital, and then I showed him where my boat that I'm supposed to have Margot on, entertaining her for future votes. I showed him where I'd sold it 5 months before the hurricane even come. So who was in front of the grand jury lying, with swearing on the Bible and lying? Well, he gave me the secret transcript, and we went through the secret transcript, and only 2 people testified in all 4 grand juries. That was the prosecutor and the FBI, both of them lying. So I was upset with my attorney because, the judge didn't throw it out and he didn't raise hell. And I said, wait a minute, and I said, how can a judge not throw it out and make them go back across the street or whatever and get a new indictment? But he said, no, I'm just going to give you the transcript. So I got the transcript, and it was real, real handy. But that was $4 million later in lawyer fees. So I'm sitting there and going through that. And after I meet with them trying to save money, I find out that they're wearing a wire on me, and they're going to try and get me with the FBI for trying to obstruct justice with them, or whatever, because I was trying to say, don't do this, do it this way. And so they didn't accept that. So when I got that evidence, and it was Ricky outside talking to the FBI, checking the audio, and coming in and talking to my daughter at the front desk, and then I knew they were wearing it in the meeting. Vicky didn't speak, so I didn't hear her, so I don't know if she had one or not. So that's what we had, and I didn't want that to happen. I knew that building, and I'll predict now, that building's $4 or $5 million over budget. From what I understand, they've moved that money around 4 or 5 different ways. They take out this when the city buys some material or equipment to save the sales tax on it, because if you put it in their name, they don't have to pay the 6%. So they just move all that, the tax savings and all the materials, they just move it out of the building. So they kept that building down around the $14 million, but that's $4 or $5 million in another bucket over there that they're not counting. They're moving money around in the city hall, and they're misleading the citizens. I've said it and I've known it, and I tell you, this is what's going to come true. This lady, when she went out there and says, I've had all these costs with me at every meeting for the last 2 years, and y'all won't let me talk about it, I almost passed out. I said, what? And then they cut them off. They wouldn't let her talk Tuesday night. Said, wait till all the commission gets back, and then we'll go over that.
James, I'm going to show everybody. I'm ready to show them right now what James. So this was just 2 days ago. So the finance director now doesn't have Vicki Gaynor as her boss. So, she's able to address the commission. She's able to, do her job. And so she goes up there during public comments. They didn't have it on the agenda. I'm talking about just 2 days ago when the mayor's in another country. It was just 3 of them up there. And here's what happened. You're going to see this right now. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry. Let me give me just a second, and I'll show you what happened. This is just absolutely amazing. All right, there's Ricky Ramey. He also went up there. He's really mad, and I'm gonna tell you why here in a second. But this is what happened just the.
All right. Thank you.
Before you,
Project. Yes, this is absolutely shocking. 2 days ago, she says, for 2 years, I've been trying to tell y'all something about this $19 million. Now, I guess just now, Mayor Pro Tem there, Sam Peebles, has released what she wanted to tell everybody. But she obviously finally felt safe enough to tell them while the mayor's not running the meeting and while Vicki Gaynor's not there. It's my contention that we're talking about $19 million now. that they should have heard her. And quite frankly, I'm worried about her safety. Okay. I'm worried about a lot of people's safety right now. But listen to this.
All right. Thank you.
Before you conclude on this, I would like to also tell you something that is not on the agenda.
Oh boy.
Commissioner Perno, you have asked repeatedly for a report on the city hall rebuild. I have those documents with me tonight.
Ooh.
I have had them with me almost every commission meeting for the last 2 years. I'm
Whoa.
prepared to speak on that if you would like it.
I would like that to be in front of all 5 of us, or
And when we do our budget workshop,
I was
I'm
like,
wondering if
Vicky might
that'd
have
be a
been
good time to
suppressing
do
it.
it'd be fine.
With Jesse.
I thought we needed a separate workshop, but
Absolutely.
it got put into the strategic planning,
Yeah.
and it really didn't get much time there, other than a slide. But we really need to break that down. So I appreciate you going on as long as you have with all that information. Thank you.
My pleasure. It is important information, and it does impact the budget, and it will impact the budget for years to come. And it directly relates to the $19 million that the residents think is available for other projects.
Wow.
That $19 million is going to be, a good portion of it is going to have to be used to pay down the bond.
Let's listen to her now, Pat. She's obviously hasn't
Thank
been
you.
able to
I
say
did see
this.
Mr. Walker.
She had to go up there during public comments. This is an emergency. Would you please put a check mark if you believe that $19 million that people have been told is available to use on projects or whatever actually needs to pay off the hurricane disaster bond, and that the hurricane disaster Fund 101 this month, at the end of this month, is $315,000 in the hole. So if the hurricane disaster Fund 101 is $315,000 in the hole, then that $19 million everybody's been pointing at, numbers don't lie, look how great city manager Vicky Gaynor is. If really that money has to pay off the debt, it appears to me, James, that they're out of money. And it appears to me that the city commission ought to have a special meeting and not act like this is a regular administrative thing. And, on August 8th, there's going to be what is it? Did you say a budget meeting? We'll do it during a budget meeting. The house is on fire. Am I right or wrong?
That's true. Hey, the budget meeting, they probably want to do that in private, but this is out of control. And you can see these people are not capable of telling the right story. So they're going to have an audit, and they're going to have a forensic audit. And what's going to come out of it is a big problem. You had the city mayor trying to promote Vicky Gaynor's law bills, but when the city themselves, Ricky Ramey, turns her into the FDLE, says, I think there's a crime been had here. And I've got an unsolicited answer from those 2 guys that y'all going to be talking to. So I thought there's no way he could throw her in a well after she saved his job 4 or 5 times. So I wrote her a letter and I said, Vicky, I'm sure you're thinking now, if I would have fired him when I was supposed to have fired him, he wouldn't be doing all this to me now. And it's good enough for you. But it's not good for the city of Lynn Haven, is what I hate about it. Ricky got up there in this next meeting, beating on the table because he thought that Vicky was having him fired by the acting city manager, from what I understand. But when the mayor started trying to tell him, wait a minute, there's an investigation going on, you can't do anything about it. We got to wait till that investigation's over. I said, well, this is a trick. And the trick is because that's what they did to save Ricky's job. When he'd had the hit and run deal out there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and y'all seen it on video, they said, you cannot mess with this man because there's an investigation going on. Don't believe your lying eyes. So with this investigation going on, it went on after y'all seen the video 4 or 5 months with Ricky. So when they get the court lined up just right, they run down there, plead nolo contender. The judge adjudges him guilty and withholds adjudication, fines him $300, and makes him go to a driving class. Well, Vicky jumps in 5 or 10 minutes later and says, I'm suspending you for a month with pay. They don't ask a vacation, but a month with pay. And so before the commissioner could even ask about it, she's done put out the penalty. And so he walks off scot-free. Everything's fine. Except for now, either they're telling on each other what's going on, but the rats are leaving the ship.
Yeah. So I want to explain this to you. This is very, very important. When Mayor Anderson and James Finch were indicted, and James Finch was brought in March of 2021, and it was right, March of 2021. It was then they said it was a conspiracy, and it was 79 counts, 79 federal counts, conspiracy, public corruption, Margot Anderson and James Finch. It goes on and on. And as you've seen, it was all bogus. Why would they do that? The judge said, Judge Mark Walker said, I don't see a conspiracy has to have connections, right? There need to be what he called a spoke and wheel. Like where's the spoke and wheels? I mean, this is not a conspiracy, and he threw it out.
3 times.
3 times. He was just about to close it though, James. And then guess what? Now what you're seeing is the spoke and wheels are busting. The real spoke and wheels has always been Chris Forehand, Vicky Gaynor, and Ricky Ramey. So when James filed a lawsuit and deposed Chris Forehand, and Chris Forehand said, yeah, Vicky did it. Well, then Vicky's didn't anticipate that. So she's got to say he's lying. Now they're at each other's throats. Then Vicky gets fired, and the other part of the conspiracy spoken wheel, the guy who wears a wire for the FBI back when the FBI loved their lies, do they still? I don't know. They're different people. So now Ricky's scared. You've got the spoke and the wheels of the conspiracy have all turned on each other, and that's what you're seeing in City Hall. Let's take a look at what Ricky Ramey said on Tuesday, just 2 days ago. He's mad now because he said, as soon as I turned in Vicky Gaynor, I'm going to decode this for you now that I know. As soon as I turned in Vicky Gaynor, that woman over there, the assistant city manager, she's trying to have me fired. And one thing that Ricky Ramey says he will not tolerate is vindictiveness. I'm gonna bite my tongue so I can just keep the flow going here.
So obviously, as a city, we have to move on. You 3, all 5 were provided with information. I'm very concerned about the people that did come forward. And you can all look at me and shake your head because you got the information. Does that concern you? Does it concern you? Mr. Perno, does it concern you, what you read? 20 hours into this, 20 hours. She's at your restaurant. She's got you on the phone. Who is she coming after? Who is she coming after? Has anybody thought about other department heads that have dealt with this? Why don't you have them come up and speak? We have to move on. Peacefully, united. We have a great city. But I'm going to share with you 20 hours into this. It was coming.
Watch how scared they are.
For a chief of police that read a deposition and talked to 2 witnesses, it was on. an agenda 20 hours deep into her command. It's embarrassing. That's malicious. That's vindictive.
Vindictive.
That what is done in private will be cast on a mountaintop.
Watch this. Remember, Ricky Ramey has a history of falsely arresting women, including James Finch's wife, 3 days or 4 days after he was on the witness stand and embarrassed himself.
2 days.
2 days. And others that we have covered on the show. Watch him threaten. This is a guy who wears a wire, who spies on people's phones and falsely arrests women. Watch this look. He says, that which is said in private will be cast from the mountaintop. In other words, I got ways to find out about you, broad. Watch.
Embarrassing. You three protect the people that are truly behind and running the city. Protect them. I have no further.
All right. I do want to point something out. I noticed that we've got Ron here, and he's making comments. Margot Deal Anderson, maybe it's because you used a public adjuster, resulting in the city getting 18 million in insurance instead of 24 million. So what I see him doing is repeating the allegations that were in the indictment and things that were dropped because they were bogus. So I recommend screenshotting before they get deleted. If they get deleted, screenshot these, because essentially they're accusing somebody of criminal activity and fraud, and it might be actionable. So screenshot stuff you see like that, that's factually just repeating bogus allegations from somebody who doesn't know the facts and is clearly clearly got an assignment. Okay, that's all. Here you go.
You heard Ricky Ramey saying it was vindictive. You know, he's mad about it because they're checking on him. Well, when all the corruption was going on, you know, there's $30,000 that his buddy Michael White threw him to keep for him, or, you know, $30,000 whatever in cash. You know, it's kind of been going on. I don't know whatever happened to the $30,000 in cash, but y'all remember that in the corruption investigation. And so he was buddies with Michael White. So he gives him a pistol. He's worried about Michael White's mental state, and he gives him a pistol out of evidence. He wanted that pistol, so he got the pistol, and a little while later he gets drunk and he sticks it to his wife's head and he sticks it in his mouth, and then he gets arrested in a domestic dispute. They hiding the city manager at another commissioner's house, and none of them goes to the commission and say, hey, this guy's out of control. You know, we got to do something, but they hid it from him. Ricky and the mayor pro temp at the time, Ricky was out of town camping or something. He comes back and everybody gets arrested, and Michael White gets arrested. I don't think Ricky lost him as a friend just as soon as he got arrested. And, you know, and so they go to trial over there, and they take Michael White's phone and they download the phone, and there's 31,000. Remember, I told you I get all the evidence from the FBI. The judge made them give it to me. So I get all this evidence. There's 31,000 text messages, and it's Ricky calling one of the commissioners, a lady commissioners, the C word. They ask him about it. He denies it. Then they get the text, and it's on his phone, and he apologizes for it. Vicky hires him a lawyer and takes care of it. Then he gets the hit and run. Vicky hires him a lawyer, and now he's turning on Vicky. So Vicky thinks, or everybody seems to think, I don't know if he's doing that or setting her up some other way. But anyway, we get him on the phone on the stand over there, and my lawyer goes through those text messages, and he's purple when he leaves the stand. I mean, he is so upset that, you know, he was advertising his dildo on the Facebook, telling him what all he could do with it, named it Goose. You know, him and Goose are big buddies. And then he really mad. And so then he had all kind of stuff that he was setting up people. fixing tickets, doing all that, and Vicky supported him 100%. Here come Jesse Nelson. He's supporting Vicky 100%. Then that was on Wednesday afternoon. He comes back Thursday. He goes down to the courthouse. He gets a warrant on my wife. My wife's son goes over to his daddy's house and goes through everything, goes through a safe and gets out some personal stuff. And the FBI had told my wife, said, listen, I can come in your house and go through everything over here and look for guns because James can't have a gun while he's on pretrial. So she takes some of her stuff and gives it to her son to put in safe over there. Her son has a marijuana license at that time. And so Ricky has the police department go over there, go make them open the safe, do everything, get everything out. And there's a bag, and the bag's got some jewelry in it, some money in it, and some watches in it. And then it had two little bitty vials and had residue in it, cocaine residue. So he comes back on Friday. He gets a warrant for my wife. He don't come up to my house and blow the horn and tell me to come out there. He goes and arrests her on Friday afternoon. She comes to the door. I don't know. It was the police department. They get her by the arm, pull her out of the house, put her in the back of the car, no shoes on, takes her to the county jail, makes her get in there and take a shower, delice her hair, take a towel and shake her hair out and give her a brush, comb it back, put her stripes on, and puts her in jail. Charges her with possession of cocaine residue. Well, the law says you can't charge anybody for residue if you got to take it to the lab to see what it is, because it's not enough to sell or anything. But anyway, charge them with residue, and it was 4 miles from our house in somebody else's house in a safe. And they said her fingerprint was on a cap, not anything to do with the drugs, but it was on the cap. She arrested her. So she don't get out of jail to the next day. And I mean, she's really upset. And she says, she wants to move. I said, why don't you file suit for a false arrest? She said, I want to be left alone. I've never been so embarrassed in all my life. I felt so sorry for her because he should have come out. If he was mad with me, that tells you what kind of man he is. He should have brought his ass up to the door and blowed his horn. And I'd have come out and seen him. But no, he takes her and puts her in jail. And so a few months later, they don't do it, right off. A few months later, they come back and give 7 reasons why he cannot arrest her.
The prosecution does.
The prosecution does. 7 reasons why he can't do it. And they wouldn't anyway, and threw it all out. But in the meantime, he had took her son's car, seized it, put it in the pound there, and I had to go put up a cash bond to get the car out to keep it from rotting. So, I mean, Ricky's, he's talking about vindictive. I don't know. I mean, he don't know really what it is, I don't think.
Yeah.
But they threw it all out. And so she says, I don't want to sue him, so I just want to move. I said, well, sweetheart, that's not going to be an option. We're not moving here. I've been here all my life. And I said, we'll get it straight. And it's coming together, and they don't like it. I mean,
yeah, I do want to say too, and you see this happening now. I've told you that when I met him, I thought he was a mobster. It always makes him laugh, but I did. I met him at the courtroom, and I still thought he and Margot were going to be guilty of some of these 79 accounts. I mean, how could you not be? Plus, I was being told by the number 2 and 3 at the sheriff's office that they had all the goods on him, and I trusted them. And it turns out I was misled. So I couldn't believe that none of these were true. And as it played out, as the truth will have its day, and as the truth continued to come out, when they had Chief Ramey on the witness stand and he had to testify, and a couple days later, he was so angry that he arrested James Finch's wife, Ashley. But here's my point. They have allies. WMBB and WJHG, especially WMBB, they put her face, they left it on the front, entire, basically front page of the website for like 24 hours, as if this were the crime of the century. It was to humiliate his wife. And you have people, and I'm not going to, there's a big movement afoot to try to discredit the truth. And I don't respond to these people. I've done this too long. Understand, I've been doing this for a long time, far more than a decade. And I see in every big cause that I find myself in, that makes me so rich, James, by the way. Thanks for the $100 ads, by the way, to the recall committee. You're going to see me get another Stetson. You keep buying all this stuff, James. But over time, I see the same moves by the same players. Sometimes they're different people that shuffle in and out, dabblers, I call them. But pay attention to them. I mean, what I'm saying is screenshot things, because unlike you, I want them to continue to say what they're saying. I don't want them canceled. I don't want them shut down. I want them to keep saying what they're saying, because you would not believe how many cards, little 3x5s that my sweetheart and I have, that are dated over time. And then when you look back, they tell a story and people start to reveal themselves. And the propaganda begins to lay itself out. So I encourage everybody who's lying, or everybody who's, I feel sorry for the angry people, because I get it. I get why they feel that way. But I want the other ones to keep saying what they're saying, because I say time is an appellate judge, and the truth will have its day and people will be revealed. And that's what's happening now.
After all this happened, and all, I said, what am I going to do about it? And I said, well, whatever I do, I'm going to come armed with the truth. I said, I'm not going to present anything that's not the truth. The last time I went to commission a couple of days ago, Friday, I was out of town, and Mayor Nelson was getting up there saying that about Jake's land in this building, this development I did in Lynn Haven, and he misled the city big time. So I take all the stuff, every one of it. He says there wasn't no vendetta there. We gave him that. If we was going to be vindictive toward James Finch, says he wouldn't have got that development order. Well, he forgot to tell him I had to sue them to get the development order. I bought the property. It was adjacent to the city of Lynn Haven on Highway 390, out there what they used to call Mowat Highlands and Mowat Dairy. And I asked the city manager, I said, listen, I'm fixed to build 90 townhouses out here, and I can bring it into the city. There's about $450,000 worth of fees and permits if you'd like it. She said, we would love that. We'd love the money. We'd love the permits. We'd love all that. I said, well, okay. She says, well, you got to get it annexed. So I go get it annexed for the planning department in Lynn Haven. So I take it back to the commission. The commission approves it. So I go to get a development order, and there's a process you got to go through, all kind of orders and permits. And so Vicky says, well, you can only build 50. I said, that wasn't our agreement. She said, yeah, it's just going to be 50. I said, why would I come put that in the city of Lynn Haven and build 50 when the county had approved 110? I said, I'm going to build 90. She said, no, you 50 or nothing. I said, she said, you can only have you got to have two entrances. I said, Vicky, you need to read the comprehensive plan. I think you're reading it wrong. She says, it's 50 or nothing. So anyway, I said, I'm going to de-annex it, and I'm going to go back to the county. So I go back to the city commission, and I brought every one of these papers to the commission because I was hoping the mayor would be there, because when he was running his mouth up there, he was misleading and lying to the commission. So I brought all the documentation. And so he does that. And so I'm on de-annex. So I go to the planning commission. They approve it. I told them what happened, and they approved the de-annexing. I go back to the commission. They said, we're not going to let you de-annex it. I said, you mean you're going to not let me take it back? I said, it's no harm, no foul. Nothing been done. I just tried to go to Lynn Haven, let y'all have the income off of it, and y'all agreed to it. But now you want to cut it down to that I can't make any money at 50. So she said, it's 50 or nothing. And so I filed a suit, went to the deal, and the de-annexing come to the city commission, and on that stuff I had yesterday and on the documents that's in the city hall, the mayor voted, and I told the commissioner,
Peoples?
no, the
Perno?
Warwick.
Perno Warwick.
Warwick made the motion not to de-annex it. The deciding vote was the mayor himself not to de-annex it. So I take it to a courthouse, and they folded like a cheap suit when they started reading it. There was an exemption for it. So then they come back, and I read the letter at the commission meeting where the city council Obos approved the deal and, said, hey, he met all the standards and all that. So I built the project, and the project said, but he misled the commission on that all day on Friday. When it was about he was changing the subject, it was reason they were meeting was on the transcript in the interview of the two, Bobby Baker and Lightfoot of the city of Lynn Haven. What they didn't like was, I understand that Lightfoot and Baker told them the same thing that the transcript said. And that's where they had a problem.
Yeah. I want to point something out. I don't usually do this or have to do this, but will you all do me a favor? Will you help me a little bit? Like I said, I've done this a lot. And I recognize when, trolls come in and they try to, I probably shouldn't do this, but you start talking to each other and all of a sudden, I can't tell you how much these guys get off on this stuff. I wish that you wouldn't feed it because it's not helpful. And it makes me feel dirty, honestly. It makes me feel dirty when you even do that. So I don't know. Do what you want on the feed, I suppose, but it's just the ugliness of it all is, look, Ron called me a couple of months ago and it was embarrassing. And he knows this. And I don't want to get into it. I'm not going to get into it. But it's dirty. It's ugly. It makes me feel filthy to see this talk on here. I don't know why everybody's making him so happy. Anyway, that's enough of that. Do what you want to do, I suppose. It's just ugly and it's dirty, and he knows it. And we should stay focused and not get detracted. So I'm going to give it back to James.
Well, I decided, the mayor, every time we'd go up to City Hall, he wouldn't let us talk or he'd cut us off, and he was just blocking us every way. So I started the recall on Mayor Nelson. We're about over 1,000. We got to have 15 or 1,600. So if y'all think that he deserves being recalled, you can come to Roberts Hall Saturday from 9:30 to 5:30, or you can come by Phoenix Construction on 390 close to Moore Junior High 5 days a week from 8 to 5. But we've got 6 or 8 days left, 10 days, whatever, and we've got to get the amount of, I think we got to get, we're a little over 1,000. We got to have 1,500. So we need about 1,600 or 1,700 to make sure that they're all legitimate. There's nothing wrong with any of the information on it. So if y'all want to recall the mayor, which I hope you do, and he has a chance to run again and straighten this out if he has something to straighten it out with. But if we can get those deals, we can stop this from him holding up this finance report or anything else. And I can't say if he's right. I'm gonna apologize to him because I know he's not right. And I know, and I hadn't been doing this for a year and a half because I want to. Because when we walked out of there after 2 trials and $5 million of money that I had to spend, I wanted to just go ahead and forget it, but I couldn't. I mean, they blame me or trying to mislead or steal from my hometown. And I damn sure wasn't going to just lay down. And I'm not laying down now. I'm asking for y'all to help on the recall. And if y'all do that, I'll prove to you that it's going to be the best thing to change the administration in Lynn Haven and get your $4.9 million I know of was stole from you. And I know how they stole it. And I proved it. And nobody's got accountability. All those guys are out of jail already. And they held them out 2 years to hold a hammer over Margot Anderson's head because they tell them, said, if you don't testify against her and make me happy, your prison sentence is not going to make you happy. Because if more you say about her, the less time you going to get. And so they sent her to prison for not knowing what month she met Michael White. For not knowing what number, just like they did General Flynn in the Trump case. If two, and I'll advise y'all something, don't ever talk to the FBI if there's 2 of them, because all they got to do is say you lying, and they can have you charge yourself under an indictment. So that's what they did. They had 2 of them come to her house at 10 o'clock and was talking to her. And then when they left, they put her that she was lying. Then the judge says, we'll give you 6 months probation, 0 to 6 months. That was the prosecutor. And the judge decided he wouldn't take that. He'd give her a year probation and put her in prison for 30 days. He's an Obama judge, appointed judge, and Democrat, and we got 2 in Lynn Haven. It's damn near Winter City. But they wanted her to have the United States Penitentiary with her picture on it. And they did Barnes the same way. They let the lawyer that was taking $10,000 a week for 12 weeks give him probation. And, it's not fair. And to me, they tried me twice, and they tried every way they could to get me to plead guilty. What would I take to plead guilty? Because they didn't want to go back to court. And you don't want to hear what I had to tell them. But
I think you should tell them. You can tell them.
Yeah.
They'd love to hear it, James. Yeah. I know what you said.
I told them.
Say it.
They says, what would it take for you to plead guilty? This is the afternoon before we're going to trial. My lawyer says, they want to know what it'll take, James. He said, they'll give you probation for 6 months. You can walk out of here today, and that's fine. I said, well, I looked at those lawyers that I'd spent all that money with, and I said, I tell you what, y'all give me half my money back, and I'll do that. Well, they turned green and purple and all that, and they said, I reckon you go into trial. They wasn't giving no money back. And so I said, well, tell them when monkeys start jumping out of my butt. So that's what he told them. They come back the next morning before to go to trial, had another deal. They'd give me 6 months probation, time served. Time served. You walk out of here in 10 minutes. You don't have to see a probation officer. You don't have to do nothing. But see, they would have got a W like a baseball player, pitcher. They'd got a W. They won. I said, tell them to go in there and see if they can find any monkeys. So anyway, they indicted me, just like Margot said, James, they going to indict you if you help me. Well, I helped her, and I spent a lot of money. She's my dear friend. She just as honest today, and she loves Lynn Haven. And I love her and Lee. They're personal friends of mine. They were talking about them being on my airplane. They'd been on my airplane 20 years before she was ever mayor. And then when they said I was whining down her on the boat, I didn't even have a boat. So they didn't have anything. But so they really penalized me because they took a lot of money from me and the lawyers and stuff. And hell, I fired my big time lawyer in the middle of the trial. And because I didn't think he was doing right, because he used to be one of them. Matter of fact, he was Epstein's lawyer, and he was a big political guy and all. But I didn't like it. So the $5 million, I hate that. But what I hate worse about is what they did to Margot and what they've done to the city of Lynn Haven. And the recalls about we've got to get the signatures in 8 or 10 days. And then when they turn them and they certify those, then we've got to get another 5% in the next 30 days. So I've got it out there, and it's up to y'all if y'all want to change. I've spent a lot of money trying to do this. I've not took one penny from anybody. The recall, I said, I'll be the chairman. They didn't want to put their name up. I said, I'll put my name up, and I'll put the money up to do it. So come by Roberts Hall Saturday or come by Phoenix Construction and sign up, and we'll get this done if you want it done.
James is being such a gentleman, but I'm going to tell you exactly the way he said it when the attorneys asked him if he'd take a plea deal. If you know James, he's not going to admit he did something he didn't do. And what he really said, this is the uncensored version. It's late, so I'll say it. James said, I'll take a plea deal when monkeys fly out of my ass and maybe a gorilla. That's what he really said. And that's why he made a mention. Go see if there's some monkeys, because they're not out and they're not coming out. And we're going to another jury. And neither jury said he did it. And the charge against him was not even a quid pro quo bribe. It was known as, believe it or not, Section 666. A wink and a nod. No evidence necessary to convict. Only half of the United States could do it. And it's just months after he was found not guilty, the Supreme Court weighed in and said, you got to have evidence to charge somebody, to convict somebody with bribery. So they wouldn't have been able to even prosecute him. They had no evidence. It was wild. It was crazy. Listen, if you want to know more about it, or I'm seeing a lot of people say, I want to know the facts. Who's right? They're saying this, you're saying this. Let me show you where you can see the documents, the facts. First of all, Margot Anderson's book, but here's another way. This right here. There you go. So this is my weekly email newsletter right there. So if you go to bernie.substack.com, you can, in 20 seconds, subscribe. It's free. Bernie.substack.com. Go there, and you'll be able to read and watch every show, read all the articles. Look at that one there, James. You'll be able to see it all, even the airplane flying over that they're still mad about. Bernie.substack.com. I really got to get us going here, and I want to thank, of course, the Unknown Patriot. The Unknown Patriot, thank you for your support. I appreciate it so much. And also remember, to the patrons, you can support the show. It's like throwing a tip in the tip jar. Patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It's easy. It's anonymous, and you can quit at any time. James, final words to... I think I've messed it up here a little bit. There we go. All right. Final words to everybody.
I'll be glad when all this is over. Hopefully, Ricky Ramey, I understand, is got religion now, and so maybe he'll come up and say, the only way this city is going to heal is for me to resign and leave, because I think he should be next. He's going to be next. That all this, and the people don't need to go through all this again. And he should think about that and not do like Vicky. I mean, Vicky's hurt herself a lot as far as hunting future jobs. But she would not bend. She wouldn't do anything. She was going to have it her way. And if you were on her team, you got raises. She got over $100,000 worth of raises per year in the 6 years she was there. She was left at $166,000 and she lost her job. But she should not have been cheating or evil or hiding stuff. And I said that, she wasn't capable of doing the job. I didn't want to. down her so much, but I've been kicked in $5 million that I was doing it. And it took me a year and a half to get the first deposition. And I've been trying to get Vicky's and everybody else in the city of Lynn Haven, and they've been slow playing it. Vicky's been slow playing getting but I'm still going to get everybody's deposition. It's going to come out and it's going to be in writing just what happened. And help me with the recall if you're interested. If you're not, then I'll be fine with it too. Because I want this over, and I won't like it, but I'll be fine with it because the only thing I'm putting out is the truth in the documents that show us the truth. So I think the other side should do the same.
I agree. All right. I appreciate you being with us. Thanks for, I'm going to keep trying to show you everything. And I really appreciate
Were
it.
you lying then? Are you lying now? Or are you not, in fact, a chronic and habitual liar?